Assalamualaikum, welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna go over all of the dramas that I'm currently watching because there's a lot and my thoughts about them. Some of these dramas are from the previous ones I was already watching, and some of them are brand new dramas that are currently airing, and then there's one that's actually finished, I think, over a year ago. And let's just get right into it. Alright, so first we have Kabhi Main Kabhi Tum, which I think is probably one of the most popular dramas that I'm watching right now. I currently just finished episode 28. And so far, I have to say my thoughts are kind of the same as they were before. I am enjoying the drama, but I feel like it is dragging on a little bit. At this point, the main attraction is just the reveal, or like waiting for the climax of Adil being exposed as a fraud, and then the whole aftermath that's going to come from all of that. And honestly, like, that's I think all that's left for the drama. Everything else seems to be going overall like smoothly. Sharjina and Mustafa's relationship is going overall smoothly. New developments, of course, are that Sharjina is now pregnant. Mustafa lost his job and now very quickly got contacted very conveniently at the right time to be a part of a startup, and he's being offered like a crazy amount of money. I think 10x from what he was previously getting, and also like part ownership, or I guess royalties from whatever projects he works on, like 50%, which is I think a lot. I don't know because I'm not in that world, but I think the main thing with Mustafa and Sharjina's relationship is Mustafa's insecurity that seems very, very intense. I feel like he feels really betrayed by like his family, from his employer or previous employer, and now he has all these responsibilities as well, and then like with a kid on the way, obviously that's a lot of responsibility, and just trying to like balance life. I think that's like the biggest challenge that he's facing, and then they both are facing in their own relationship. I also think Sharjina is like a little bit clingy, or like very, very needy all of a sudden. Like even prior to like her becoming pregnant, like I think she just suddenly became really, really needy, and it just was really different from how she was portrayed prior. So I think that's interesting. I don't have too many thoughts on it, but I'm just really curious to see how Mustafa is gonna like progress in his relationship, and with himself included, especially with his like insecurities. Like we end off at the last episode with him questioning, like he just got his position, he just started working, and he's like, oh, are you gonna betray me like Joseph or like his previous employer? Which I'm like, how is the guy supposed to know who Joseph is exactly, unless he's like a huge name, which I guess he kind of was. But still, like it was just a really weird, like I feel like they're dragging on his insecurity, and like it's not the job of his new employer to like make him feel less insecure. But the employer did also mention like he gave like an advance of like his salary because he wanted to gain his trust. So maybe that's something that's common in that industry, that you get like betrayed in that way or taken advantage. But like, I don't know, it just seems a little excessive, and like they're just dragging it on. In terms of all of the other characters, honestly, I'm just not as interested. When I look back, like I started watching Kabhi Main Kabhi Tum at the same time as Noor Jahan, and Noor Jahan I was so invested in like all of the characters except for like maybe one or two that I just really didn't like. But with Kabhi Main Kabhi Tum, honestly, Adil is so unlikable, Rubab is so unlikable, and like her friends are not very likable either. So everything that's going on there, I think the main thing that they're just trying to show is like the gradual or like sudden impending downfall of Adil, and like all these bad actors that are in Sharjina and Mustafa's life and their extended friends or whatever. But honestly, like I just don't care about them as much. Obviously I'm gonna feel bad because all of this bad stuff is happening eventually to Rubab and whatever, and like I don't think anyone deserves to go through what she's probably about to go through, but I just am not nearly as invested. Like it's so annoying to me when they're on screen because I'm like, I just know they're just straight up bad. They're just bad. So I'm not really a fan, but whatever. In terms of whether or not I'm gonna continue watching the show, I will, because I am invested in just wanting to see Adil's downfall, and that's about it. But everything else, I feel like there's no more conflict. Like everything should slowly like settle itself, and like obviously Sharjina and Mustafa are gonna go through some difficulty and whatever, but it seems like, you know, everything's going fine or like on the up and up. So I think it's just his downfall that I'm looking forward to, and that's it. A new drama that I started watching is called Ghair, or yeah, Ghair, yeah, I think that's how you say it. I have watched up to episode 6. I think the next one is coming out in a couple of days. I From the newer shows I'm watching, I do enjoy this show a bit, but there's just a lot going on. So this show, Ghair, surrounds like very complicated family connections, and it follows this girl, her name is Wafa, and her family, and it basically starts with her journey into like experiencing the rest of her family that she never met because of a lot of things going on. I feel like it's a little complicated to explain, but basically her mom was previously married and she supposedly had an affair. Turns out it wasn't, it was all a setup because of like a crazy sister-in-law slash ex-best friend. And then she eventually remarries, and her stepfather is in Wafa's life and they have a really good relationship, and suddenly the mom, Wafa's mom, suddenly passes away due to a plane crash, and suddenly that is basically the catalyst for everything that happens afterwards. She is suddenly disowned by her father that loves her really like a lot, but suddenly he's like, oh, I don't actually love you. Seemed really random. Why is there a fly here? It was really random and really like extreme, and the only thing that like I could say or think of that like saves his like character a bit is like maybe he's just extremely like depressed from the sudden loss of his wife. But essentially what happens is Wafa is returned like the object she is back to her biological father, and no one is interested in engaging with her. Her father is not interested in her. The extended family is essentially trying to avoid her at all costs, except for like basically her dada and dado, who feel like they have a sense of responsibility to her. I don't know, like it just didn't, it felt ugly like sitting there and listening to those conversations. Like it was like very much like, you're a liability on us, so we're gonna take care of you. Like it was very much like objectified. In terms of that new family that she is being introduced into, no one seems to like acknowledge her or like try to engage or just welcome her. That she's very out of place essentially. But of course there's one cousin that suddenly, who's very like tough and like rigid, suddenly seems to be taking an interest and like is softer and like more flexible, and like has some liaz for his sister now that this girl is in the picture, because he's like this really strict follow the rules and does everything on time type of a guy. And that guy also has a rivalry with his cousin, who is their neighbor, and that cousin like is interested in his sister, so things are gonna get complicated because of that. And there's like some jaidat or like property issues and like ego issues between the families, so they don't really talk to each other even though they're like literally neighbors, and they like basically have cut off one of their sisters, so like his popo I think, or chachi or something. I think it's popo. So it's just like a lot, it's a lot going on basically is what I'm trying to say. And she's thrown into this mess, and while she's grieving her mother who literally just died like a sudden tragic death, she's also falling in love like very quickly, I would say, or like just showing interest or like giggly feelings for this guy that, I'm sorry, he's just not it, but whatever. So there's a lot of that going on. I think the purpose or the direction of the show is to show like the complicated relationships in joint family systems, and like when property and money and egos are involved, and like how being inflexible can, like you can be very rigid in your ways, but then life will throw you curveballs where you'll be forced to be flexible when that guy has to eventually accept that his sister likes his arch nemesis slash cousin, and he's like this very tough, rigid, inflexible person, and he suddenly likes this girl, and you know, like does love things, I guess, and makes you like more flexible. I don't know, I feel like the show was interesting for me just because I wanted to see what the story was behind the mother, because I was like, did she actually cheat on her ex-husband, or was he just in a fit of rage and male rage decided to divorce her and like had zero critical thinking skills about the situation and like the people around him? It was the latter. That was the main thing that I was interested in. Now that that has happened and like been cleared up, will I continue watching the show? I think I will. I'm interested in the drama because I was really interested in the initial story of like the history or like the prequel of like everything that happened before the girl was born or when she was much younger. And from all the other shows, this one was the most interesting and the most like it had me more engaged compared to some of the other shows that I was watching. So I think I will continue to watch for that. If you guys think I should or should stop watching and there's another drama I should watch instead, let me know. But I did like this drama, I will say that, so far. And there's only 6 episodes out, so let's see what happens. The next show is called Iqtidar. I've watched 6 episodes and I don't know how I feel about this one. Okay, the funny thing is this show and Ghair I was kind of watching at the same time. I kept finding myself getting a little bit confused because I was like flipping between like the episodes for each show. But I think my conclusion with this show, like let me just get ahead of myself a bit, is that I'm not as interested. However, I do have some things that I'm curious about. Basically, this show seems to be following like this really like influential political family, power that they have, and the fact that they can get away with a lot of things, and they know that. This family's paths are going to cross with Mehru's family, which is our protagonist. Mehru is a girl from like a lower middle classish family. She lives with her siblings and her mom with their chachi, and the chachi's like evil and stuff. Of course, classic Desi drama, like what are you gonna expect, right? So basically we have this girl, Mehru, and she's like the typical good girl, works hard and like working hard for her family, for herself, for her future and everything. And she takes care of her family and she tries to balance like the chaoticness that comes with the joint family system and also like just trying to be like a good person and activist overall. And basically what happened on the day of her engagement, her brother gets into an accident. So far he has not passed away, but apparently he's going to pass away. And I noticed one thing in Pakistani dramas and also K-dramas is that there's always someone that needs to pass away or get seriously injured from a car accident. So this is one of those shows where there is a car accident and that is going to somehow result in her getting involved with the political family's son, which is basically Murad from Noor Jahan. And I was like, I really liked his character, so I kind of wanted to watch the show because I was like, oh, I know this guy. But I don't like him in this drama so far. He's so annoying to me, and I just feel like he's such a like, I feel like he has issues, and I'm not looking forward to him suddenly becoming like, you know, like a more gentle person. I cannot see that with his character so far in Iqtidar, but let's see. In terms of whether I'm gonna keep watching, I honestly was not looking forward to continuing to watch this show, but the thing is, I am really curious onto how in the world these two will, like Mehru and Murad from Noor Jahan, I forgot his name. I'm very curious to see how these two will actually end up like involved with each other and like potentially get married, like, because I cannot see that, like I just cannot envision how that is supposed to happen in this case, and that is the only reason I'm going to continue to watch. Otherwise, I was honestly like ready to call it quits like 3 episodes ago. All right, the 4th drama is Duniyapur, and with this drama, I've honestly watched less than 1 episode. I felt a little confused watching the show. I think I was just watching too many shows at the same time, and so I had to like put one kind of on the side, and this was one of them. I'm honestly not sure what the show is about, but it seems like it's about like men with their egos and land and like power, something like that, and like gaon wala masle or something. That was the feeling I was getting. I don't think I actually registered anything I watched from the first episode, and I didn't even finish it, so I really don't know what's going on. So I can't really say what the show is about and what I think about it because I cannot even remember the characters. So I think I will keep watching this show at least 2 to 3 episodes just to figure out what's going on, because I don't think I gave it a fair chance. Thoughts to be determined, basically. The next show is Standup Girl. So basically, Standup Girl is a recommendation from my husband, and I only watched like an episode and a half, I think, and this is a show that came out I think a year ago, so it's already done. But he was just telling me that I might enjoy it, and honestly, like, I can see myself enjoying it. But so far, all I know is it's about this very outspoken girl, very different from your typical Desi girls in Pakistan, and basically the mom of the girl gets very sick and decides to tell the daughter the truth about her extended family from her dad's side, and eventually they get in touch and they take in the girl because I think the mom passed away or is just extremely sick. I didn't catch that part, so I was again just casually watching, so I did not pay too much attention. But basically she is now going to be living with her father's side of the family, so everyone's living together in like a joint family system, and she gets to the part that I watched up to is the fact that she is just about to move in. She's moved in and she's just like observing their bizarre, weird behavior that happens with joint family system. Like everyone's a little weird and everyone's like so loud, I guess, and so she's just observing at this point. And I have no serious thoughts about this. Apparently it's a good show. I think I will continue to watch the show very, very casually because it's already been completed. I'm not like, if I get really into it suddenly, I can binge it all if I want to, but for now I'm really interested in some of the other shows I'm watching, so it's just like a casual thing on the side. So let me know if you think it's a good show as well, and if I should continue watching it faster so that I can review it while I review other shows. Okay, so now Zard patton ka bunn. I don't know what that means. I've been trying to understand what it means, but I don't know what it means. But this show is my favorite show so far. I look forward to it so much, and I'm so sad because I think this is the only show that is aired just once weekly, but it's so good. It's so good. So this is the first show my husband recommended me to watch. He was like, oh, I think you'll really like this type of show. It has like the typical love story, but also like touches on really important issues that Pakistanis or people in like smaller towns or villages have to deal with. And I love everything about the show. I binged it as soon as I was recommended it. And like, this was like, I have to watch everything. I could not stop. And then I had to slow myself down because I was like, man, like it only airs once a week and I'm catching up too quick. And then like, I'll have to be extremely patient. So yeah, I've like been so excited every single time an episode comes out. I love the show. This show follows a very educated and I guess forward-thinking girl in a small village where that's not very common. Women don't normally pursue further education. That's not really encouraged, etc. I will say first thing, the only reason the show is taking the projection that it is going is because that the girl's father and mother are forward thinking compared to her siblings and basically like the village as a whole. So it follows Minu, and eventually her love interest comes into the picture, which is the Dr. Noor. And honestly, it's so freaking cute. And then at the same time, I'm like, man, technically like this is like Hareem, because like why is she touching his hair? But like it was so freaking cute. And like I love everything about this show. I love the interactions that Minu has with like the imam, the like doctor that isn't actually a doctor, and like the other storylines that are going along with it. I think it's so good. If you want like a wholesome show that's not too heavily focused on just like the romance part of things, it focuses on other things like women's education, access to healthcare resources in smaller towns and villages, and like just the injustices that women have to do or deal with on a daily basis, regular basis, on like every level and every stage of their life. This show does that so casually that you don't even necessarily like realize, I feel that they're going through that because it's so casually done. And I think it's like, I think this show is more important and could be more impactful on people compared to pretty much all of the other shows, because it talks and deals with more serious issues that go beyond just like, you know, love stories or like the issues you deal with in like marriages or relationships of that capacity. So I think it's such a good show, and I'm so happy that my husband recommended it. It's such a good show, 10 out of 10. And the love story on the side is really cute, so I really like that as well. And I think it goes without saying, I will definitely continue to watch every single episode as soon as it comes out because it is such a good show. I am so glad I'm getting to watch a show like this compared to all the other shows, honestly. Okay, now to change tunes a little bit. The last show that I've been watching is Bismil, and right now I just actually finished the 15th episode. I'm so disappointed with this show. In my head, I already made videos and updates about this show and Zard patton ka bunn, but I didn't. I just kept thinking about like how excited I was to make this video, but I never got around to it because I just didn't have time. Now, with Bismil, honestly, I don't like the show. I feel like it's a little excessive and it's a little too much for me. At this point, I think the only interest I have is just waiting for the climax of like when the first wife finds out that her husband has married someone else, and of all people who he has married. I do have some thoughts I want to share about TT specifically. Honestly, I'm so disappointed in this person's character because honestly, he's such a gaslighter. The thing that infuriates me a lot with TT is the fact that he like will casually still make jokes about like getting married again or having like a second wife or whatever. And I'm like, you are doing that and you're just teasing them. Like that is like taunting and mocking someone in such a like cruel way, and it's not even like a random person, it's like your wife and your son, and you're like teasing them about this. On top of that, the fact that he still went ahead, had no issues with continuing to move forward with marrying a second woman when his son had such a like intense reaction to his friend's father getting married to another woman. Like he went through so much, and now like, and his like way of consoling him was like, oh, like things like this happen or whatever, like it's fine, you gotta move forward. Like you can see that he's going to have a very obvious, very intense reaction when he finds out about his own father, and he had no issues with just like doing it. Like I think they tried to kind of show that he was like contemplating this stuff all the time, but clearly he did not contemplate or think enough, you know, because he still went with it. And he's like, can I just say, like in the most recent episode, like he had no, like as soon as like he's suspecting his wife knows something, he like calls his second wife Masuma like, oh my gosh, like I'm freaking out, like we can't talk for a bit or whatever. And I'm like, you clearly could not balance having more than one wife. Why did you do this to yourself? Why would you do this to your own family? Why would you do this to this other girl who, you know, potentially has her whole life ahead of her or whatever? Like just cannot. It's so annoying. I hate this show. Overall, he's just incredibly selfish. And for someone that, you know, has this huge business, and, you know, obviously you have to work hard, you have to think about all these different factors to manage this business. You did not think this part of your life through at all. Oh my god. And now going to Masuma, I really think that she is getting on to a level of obsessed. Like she's obsessed with being like the number one or whatever. Like you knew you were going to be the second wife. Like why did you need to push boundaries more and be like, no, now I have to be like the more important wife or the first wife or the only wife or whatever that is brewing in her head. This is going to just cause more problems for her. And like it could have been a more gradual process, but she's just like, no, I just want to like rub it in her face. Like, bro, like, I don't know. And I do think like I'm starting to feel like maybe she does actually like TT a bit, like, you know, like now she's actually married to him, like more feelings are involved and whatever. So like maybe that's why. But honestly, like, girl, what are you doing? Like, first of all, you got everything you wanted. Why did you need to push more and like ask for more attention and all of this? Like, you knew what you were getting yourself into, and now you're gonna put this family through so much and yourself through so much. For what purpose? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I just don't know. I'm just really disappointed in this show, in these characters. There's nothing redeeming about any of them, honestly. And like the mom of Masuma, like she seems a little like money hungry or money obsessed too. Like I think that just happens when you get more money or whatever you do. It does go to your head a little bit, and I feel like it is slowly getting to her head a little bit. Like there is a sense of entitlement, and I think they did show that from the beginning of the show. Like obviously she like, everyone wants more money or whatever, and she's just like, oh well, this is my life or whatever. And then she's like also downplaying her husband in the beginning of the show, whatever. The thing that I don't like though about the father is like, why are you so gotcha? Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Like I cannot. That's it. That's all I want to say. That's my recap for all the shows. Will I continue watching? I will, just again, like I said, to see the intense reaction of like, you know, this revelation that happens literally at the end of the most recent episode. The next episode is coming out tomorrow. Hopefully I'll get to see that before, well, I've already recorded this, right? So whatever. But those are all the shows I'm watching. I'm watching a lot of shows. Let me know which shows you are watching as well, what you're looking forward to the most. And if you have other recommendations, if you think I should drop a certain show and watch something else instead, let me know in the comments down below. And I will see you guys in another video. Office.